We're joined now by retired Illinois Air National Guard Commander Major General Peter Nezamis. General Nezamis flew more than 275 combat hours in support of the U.S. missions in the Middle East, including during Operation Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation Iraqi Freedom. General, it's a privilege to have you on this morning.
Good morning, Markie. Good to be here.
So, General, while Israel is gearing up for this ground invasion of Gaza, IDF troops are fighting with Hezbollah, fighters and terrorists along its northern borders with Lebanon and Syria. How concerning is it that the fighting in the north is continuing to ramp up and the attacks are now coming from multiple directions?
Well, I think there's to say that the fighting is ramping up is something that was likely predicted. Hezbollah being also supplied by Iran is their whole goal is to try to widen this into more of a regional fight that affects a large portion of the Middle East rather than confined to Gaza. So Israel is fully prepared for a two-front conflict if that in fact continues. It's not likely Hezbollah is going to pull back at this point. They're going to proceed with their attacks. Anytime you can take and draw logistics and spread the supply chain across two fronts would be a goal for any adversary or a pair of adversaries working together to kind of continue to sow that dissent. So, and of course, that also affects the Israeli people when they have to see a two-front conflict going on with their forces divided amongst the region. But it's something that Israel is prepared for.
And I think for those of us who are outsiders, to this conflict, it's hard to imagine it getting any more, worse or complicated than it already has been, just the last 10 days. Israel says it has no interest in a war with Hezbollah at this time, but that it will continue to defend itself from attacks, of course. Is there any situation you can predict where Hezbollah agrees to pull back and de-escalate the situation?
I would say at this point, no. I think if Hezbollah had every intent to pull back, they would have done so by now, and they would not continue to prosecute their attacks over the border. So my guess is they'll continue with that approach, and then at the same time try to divide the Israeli forces, try to divide the Israeli people, expand the conflict throughout the Middle East, and just to broaden this a little bit. And I don't think there's any scenario within the next 24 to 48 hours where Hezbollah would agree to stop their attacks in the north.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine. Not those kind of actors. I know you probably saw this, but Axios is reporting that Iran sent Israel a message over the weekend warning that it will intervene if Israel continues military operations in Gaza. We know Iran's foreign minister warned that Israel will suffer, quote, a huge earthquake if the strikes on Gaza continue. Considering Hamas and Hezbollah are both backed by Iran, to the point that you were just making, and there have been reports that Iran helped plan last week's terrorist assault on Israel, how much more involved in this can the Iranian regime get without directly intervening in Gaza?
Well, we've seen Iran as a nation involve themselves in many different ways. They've, for now a number of months and even years, they've harassed merchant shipping in the Straits of Hormuz. They've harassed U.S. naval operations that are just patrolling in the Straits of Hormuz, which can also affect global financial markets. So they're more than capable of not just directly involvement of a conflict, but indirect involvement by harassing merchant ships around their Gulf, by trying to control the prices of oil and commerce in their regions. But they can also continue to resupply. It's likely that they won't be directly involved, but they do have strategic missiles, and they have the ability to strike Israel, but that would hugely increase the conflict in the Middle East. So it's likely they won't be directly involved along those lines, but they will continue their resupply efforts through Syria and other countries to try to resupply both Hamas and Hezbollah. But direct involvement is probably unlikely. That you're hearing the war of words now that will attempting to continue to coalesce the region around the cause of what Iran believes in and supporting Hamas and Hezbollah.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.